Taylor, are we live? Okay. Well, then we're going to get started. For those who are here, those who are joining us on our live stream, and those who will be joining us in the future with the recorded event tonight. But welcome to Norwalk Christian Church. Into the Norwalk Area Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. I am Travis Stanley. I need to check my notes, just double check that. But co-pastor of this church and past president of the Norwalk Chamber, and we are thankful that you are here tonight.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Aaron. I'm a realtor with Realty One Group and a vice president of your Norwalk Area Community Chamber. And next year I will be your president. We would like to welcome our 4 candidates joining us tonight, 2 of whom are running for mayor and 2 who are running for the 2 open council seats. First, let me introduce our incumbents. Mr. Tom Phillips, who is running for his 3rd term as mayor. That's right. Ms. Jackie Livingston, who is running for her 3rd term as well on city council. And Brian Baker, who was a write-in candidate 4 years ago and is running for his 2nd term.
And we'd like to introduce to you Dante Powell, who is also running for mayor. And thank you. Yes. A round of applause. Thank you, candidates, for joining us tonight and for your desire to serve our community. The election for these open seats, as well as the Norwalk Community School District's school board, will take place 1 week from today, Tuesday, November 2nd, and I think polls close somewhere around 7 or 8 o'clock. So hopefully by this time you've all voted in 1 week. Tonight's forum will be moderated by Lindsay and I. We receive questions from our members and from the community, as well as those of you who've done this before might sound familiar because they're questions that tend to just continue to pop up in our community. And so this will be a moderated forum, no open questions from you. But we hope the questions we ask are the ones that you're thinking about and that are important to our community.
And for our final introductions, I would like to notice Lucinda Sperry over here. She is the executive director of our Norwalk Area Community Chamber and will be serving as our timekeeper tonight. So she'll keep you on track. Last, we would like to give a special thanks to Chance McDaniel, is that right? And Taylor Stanley, who are running our sound and live stream this evening. For tonight's forum, candidates will be given 90 seconds to answer each question. We wish we could give you more time, but we hope to complete this forum no later than 8:30. Candidates will also be giving a 2-minute opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement. You are welcome to stick around after the forum to speak with the candidates one-on-one as long as their schedules allow. I now invite the candidates to give opening statements at 2 minutes each.
And just to add, we are putting all the candidates' contact info, well, not all of your info, but what we have available on our chamber website. So if you do have any questions or you're at home and you're not able to talk to anybody afterwards, you can contact them in those ways. And so as is our tradition, we will start from left to right, and then each question, each thing that we do, we'll just keep moving. And so whoever was first previous will be last the next time. And so we'll start with you, Mayor Phillips, for a 2-minute opening statement and then move down the line.
Good evening. I'm Tom Phillips. Been married to my wife, Diane, for 37 years. We moved to Norwalk in 1990 because we heard Norwalk's a good community to live in and to raise a family. We have 3 children. They're all grown, so we are empty nesters. Work for Principal Financial Group as a senior software engineer. In 97, we, meaning my family and myself, decided that I was going to run for school board, and I had the privilege of serving on the school board for 16 years. Back in 2013, I was asked to run for mayor at that point in time, and again, after a conversation with family, decided to run for mayor, and I've been mayor for the past 8 years. I believe that over the last 8 years, Norwalk's been growing at a good pace, and I believe council and myself have created an environment where controlled growth can occur. We've had some decent commercial and retail development, but I'd like to see much more of that. As a community, Norwalk needs to be more balanced in their tax base and where our property taxes come from. And I think we're making good strides and and with the additions of the new businesses in Marketplace, the Sunset Crest development, Windsor Windows, Michael Foods, those types, we're making good progress. We've done a lot of planning over the last 8 years with updates to our zoning code, updates to our comprehensive plan. We're doing another comprehensive plan update, adoption of a trail plan, adoption of a parks master plan, hydrology study, and quite a few traffic studies. In 2018, we held a strategic planning session where we developed our purpose statement, and we developed several long-term goals. And we made great progress on achieving those goals, but planning should never stop. Some projects that have occurred already because of that planning are the Great Western Trail Connection, the Norwalk Central Project, improvements at the corner of Main and North Avenue, and several other projects. If elected, I plan to conduct another strategic planning session in late summer to make sure City Council staff and myself have solid direction on where to focus our efforts. Financially, the city's in good shape, and we've continued to drop our tax levy each year over the past 4 years. We continue to maintain our AA bond rating, and my time is up.
Your time is up.
So, thanks, Chamber.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you will get a 1-minute closing statement, so anything else
Awesome.
that's hanging. Mr. Powell.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dante Powell. I'm going to take this out of here if that's okay. My name is Dante Powell. I am originally from Bernice, Louisiana. I've been living here in Norwalk for about 4 or 5 years. I really like it. There are some things that I guess I noticed that kind of led me here today. And to be honest with you guys, it was just the Facebook group Norwalk, Iowa. I met a lot of people in there, and I initially got on to troll and pick on the great people of this town. And I do that fairly well. I do pick on you guys quite a bit. So if you're here to murder me, please don't. I'm a professional comedian. I also work part-time at TMC Transportation as an instructor. So if you ever see the big trucks in town in the way, that's probably me. Don't honk so much. And I don't know, as I talk to people on the site there, I didn't get a sense that the town was in shambles or anything, or that you guys needed me per se. It just seemed like a lot of people were saying they were running for mayor, and I wanted in on the action. And then once I got in, I realized nobody else was serious about it, and I was in too far to quit. So here we are. The things I've learned about this place are things like we've got beef with Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee said they were going to come here, and then they didn't come here. So my first act as mayor is going to be to log onto our Twitter and reach out to Aldi and their DMs and see what's up with them. Any other, I guess, issues that I notice are generally pretty well taken care of around here. And so again, I don't want to seem like I'm some combative outsider who's doing anything other than not quitting after I jumped into this as a joke and then people told me I couldn't.
Thank you. Ms. Livingston.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Livingston. I have been on city council for 8 years. I moved to Norwalk in 2022 when my employment for my day job allowed me to move out of Polk County. My husband and I have been married for a long time. I should know, coming up on 30 years. And we have raised 3 children who are now across the United States in their various adulting endeavors. I am really proud to be a representative of the city of Norwalk. I believe, I hope that I fairly represent the interests and the agenda of the people of this community. I am really proud of the development that we have had. I am proud of our contribution to the growth of our school system. I am proud of some of the big projects that we have done. If you haven't been on the new bike trail, it's marvelous, and there's more of it to come. I am usually in the loud but lone minority in terms of our city's residential growth. I think we are growing too fast. I'd like to see our growth slow down a little bit. I'm all for growth, but I wish that we were growing at a slightly slower pace, residentially speaking. I am usually in the loud but single minority opposing some of the incentives and benefits that we give to residential developers. Again, towards the end of, I think that we need to slow down a little bit in our growth. I am seldom quiet and usually express my point of view at council members. On the Facebook page that Mr. Powell spoke of, there was some comments about my failure to respond to the register's questionnaire. If you want to know where I stand on any given issue, come to a council meeting because I'm pretty vocal and you'll never wonder where I stand on any given issue. I am very proud to be up here tonight. I'm proud to represent the community. I hope and I look forward to being able to represent the community in the future.
All right, Mr. Baker.
I'm Brian Baker. I was elected 4 years ago. Oh, I'm done.
Time.
Anyway, I'm married. I'm done again. Are you sure? All right. I've been married to Deb over there for 35 years. We moved to Norwalk the first year that we were married. We've raised 2 boys, Nathan and Nick, here. My history is I was born and raised on the south side of Des Moines. I graduated with an accounting degree from UNI. I had 2 boring auditing jobs after that. And then I got into leasing and financing to commercial customers nationwide. So that was a lot of travel. That wasn't very good for the family. I was very blessed and got the opportunity to become a stay-at-home dad and retire. At that time, I had the opportunity and additional time to volunteer at all of the schools in Norwalk, from elementary all the way up through high school with Music Boosters. I was a treasurer secretary for the United Methodist Church for 16 years. And in continuing that, after the boys graduated, I decided I wanted to run for city council. That worked out, and I am been so pleased with what has gone on with council. We have a fantastic staff currently. Very motivated, very cohesive. We have good momentum right now, and I didn't want to mess with that. So I wanted to run again and try to keep it going.
All right. You still got 20 seconds. All right.
Me already.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm currently stalling because we need to change a battery in the back. We don't want anybody at home to miss out on anything. So if the camera goes black for a second, it will be back a few seconds after that. So we are stalling. We're good. All right, great. They're quick back there, professionals. All right, so first question. All the questions are addressed to everyone. As mayor and council, you handle all the issues that come to the city, but may have different approaches. So please answer from your own perspective, but the same questions will be asked for everyone. For the incumbents, the 3 of you, we just begin by asking, what accomplishment are you most proud of from your previous term or terms, and what do you hope to accomplish if reelected? And for Mr. Powell, what do you feel is lacking in the city leadership that you might provide, and what do you hope to accomplish if elected? And we will start with you, Mr. Powell.
Again, I don't particularly think anything is lacking. I just ended up here by my own silliness. And so I think that one of the things I've learned in doing this is that you have to go out and get these signatures to run for mayor. And in doing so, the townspeople have no issue telling you what their issues are. So I learned a lot in doing that. Things like property taxes being too high, the argument of growth too fast versus not enough growth. I don't presume to have all the answers myself, but what I've figured out talking to these people and kind of messing around on the internet and things like that is just that if you give the people an opportunity to actually feel like they're being heard, and if I approach it from a space where I'm not only looking at it from my perspective, but theirs as well, they're much more likely to be receptive to whatever leadership might bring to them. So that was pretty cool. It didn't seem like Norwalk was as divided as I see a lot of other places have become. And I think that potentially I would be good at leading in a way that made sort of everyone feel like they were a part of it, even if it wasn't their idea or their particular way to go.
All right, thank you. Same question, Mrs. Livingston. If you need the question repeated at any point tonight, just say so.
All right, well, if I don't answer the question, tell me.
We will.
I think I've got it. So I am most proud of the efforts that we are currently making to create Norwalk Central. It is my champion project for the city, and we are making great strides to bringing what we hope will be a central entertainment, business, residential gathering area where people of the community can get together and do sports and do music and walk about for shops. So that I'm currently most, maybe I'm not most proud yet because it's not there, but I'm most excited about. I am really proud of the city staff that we have. Mayor Phillips and the present council, and the council, we've changed a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit over the last 8 years, have been instrumental in bringing in some really outstanding department heads and city staff, and they are directly responsible for the growth and the progress and the good things that I see happening in this city.
All right, thank you. Mr. Baker.
I would say, as a council person, it's not like you do something yourself, as in develop a building or whatever. You are kind of an organizer, overseer of an outrageously good staff, fantastic staff. And the best thing we can do is stay out of the way in some circumstances. Other times, though, what I am very proud of is we are making progress with commercial building. That is how I originally ran, was to try to increase commercial businesses that coming to town. A lot of that takes place after additional housing. It is, as the register said, is a push-pull. You know, you don't want to grow too fast, but at the same time, I know that our success is going to come with more and more commercial to lower our property taxes, or at least keep them from rising as much. That is kind of, as Jackie mentioned, a champion, that's my champion, is to try to increase commercial building. And I think with the central project that she described, I think we're well on our way to do this, some of that. And I don't remember if there's another part to that question.
The other part was, what do you hope to accomplish if reelected? I mean, you touched on that some.
Is to additional commercial. I think that's what this town's historical hindrance has been, lack of commercial and only, the residential growth. We're finally getting there.
Thank you. And Mayor Phillips.
As I said in my intro, in 2018, we held a strategic planning session, set a purpose statement. Our purpose statement is to maintain and enhance reasons why people want to live and work in Norwalk. I think that purpose statement that we developed at that point in time, we used that to develop the projects that Councilmember Livingston and Baker were talking about, that they were champions of. The Norwalk Central, economic development. And so I think going through that process provided a lot of focus for us as elected officials, and it provided a lot of focus for city staff as well. And I think we've been seeing a lot, not only the projects, the champion projects that are going. Like I said, another one of the champion projects was the Great Western Trail connection. Not only those, but focus on fixing roads, making sure that our water system and our sewer system are in top notch so that we don't have any failures. Those types of things are happening a lot as well. And I just think, I think the planning has provided that focus. Again, as I said in my intro, I would like, if I'm reelected mayor, we're going to hold another strategic planning session. Lots changed, and we got to keep planning.
All right, thank you.
All right, second question. We will start with Ms. Livingston this time. What do you see as the greatest challenge or challenges facing Norwalk in the next 4 years?
I think we have a lot of challenges. I think coming out of the pandemic stronger and as a more cohesive group is a challenge. I think we fared pretty well, all things considered, during the pandemic. Our schools managed to successfully navigate continuing curriculum. Had lots of meetings and lots of discussions about how to do that in a way that, I don't know, offended the least amount of people maybe. And in the wake of an awful lot of criticism. For the city, we went to online virtual meetings like everybody else did, but we took some things away from that period of time that we saw that worked and that we want to continue utilizing. Council meetings are always now available on YouTube for people to participate in, not just watch later. I feel like we've become more accessible, and I think it will be a struggle to continue that accessibility, to continue the growth when so many of the commodities now are hard to get.
That's our
Maybe,
time.
oh, okay. I had a lot to say on that.
A lot of things to work on right now. The pandemic put everybody a little bit behind in commercial growth, especially. You can go through Jordan Creek right now, which was the jewel of the town, and there's a lot of vacancies. Not a lot of people are trying to expand their commercial businesses right now. We're doing very well with service businesses, the realtors, chiropractors, different services. But restaurants right now are struggling. We have a few restaurants that are trying to open up, but are in need of additional people. That is an additional hindrance we have. Also, we're trying to manage, and I think we're doing a very good job of it, with the growth, the infrastructure. We're currently working on water systems, sewer systems. We want to make sure that we're ahead of the curve as far as planning well, and make sure it's on our timetable and we're not frantic or out of control.
A view on my notes. I would agree with everything that Councilmember Livingston and Baker have said so far. I think growth is one of our biggest challenges. How do we maintain a good growth rate? And I agree with Councilmember Livingston that we don't want to grow too fast. You grow too fast, things can kind of get out of control, and we want to keep control. But we still need to maintain that good growth. That growth in residential is the way you get commercial and more business, which is something that I hear everybody in town wants more restaurants and more places to go at night and that kind of stuff. And the residential growth is going to help provide that. And as Councilmember Baker said, providing infrastructure for all that is huge. And, you know, we need to have a forward vision to look, where are we going to go next, as far as where's that big commercial growth area going to be, and so having that planning that out is going to be a challenge for the next 4 years.
Repeat the question, please, so I can make sure I didn't
Absolutely.
skip a part.
Yep. What do you see as the greatest challenge or challenges facing Norwalk in the next 4 years?
Okay, perfect. So yeah, what everyone up here has been saying is managing the growth. So like, I'm assuming that if the leadership is saying that, it's probably accurate. The thing I know about managing growth is that I ended up here in the last 4 to 5 years completely by accident, but I'm so happy I'm here. So maybe a more unified front towards figuring out how to make it feel a little more welcoming to not only people, but businesses, and I guess just ideas that would fit well here would be a great place to focus moving forward. And then also, you know, so I grew up in Louisiana, a pretty diverse place, and not a lot of people here who aren't white. Not that that's a bad thing, but you know, that's another thing to potentially focus in on. Do we want to grow in a way that's going to be welcoming in ways that are not necessarily of the same, I guess, perspective as we currently have? Because it's one thing to grow, but if you're singularly focused in your direction, you may miss an opportunity to grow in other ways. So that's something that I think is important. But again, I'm relatively new here, so it's a bit of an outsider's perspective, I suppose.
All right, thank you. Speaking of growth, that's our special word of the day. So every time you hear that word, have a drink or do the Pee Wee Herman or whatever. As we've already acknowledged, Norwalk has certainly experienced a lot of this growth in various ways. In commercial, just go south of here and you see lots of industrial, residential. But with this growth, it doesn't just happen. There's various strategies that you as council, as city, has put into place, things like TIF agreements, things like rezoning commercial land to residential or vice versa, tax abatements, the things that are the impulses behind those Facebook posts sometimes when people complain or they want more of this. So the question is, do you support the city's current approach to growth? Do you plan on continuing this? Or are there other approaches you'd like to advocate for, change, or add that you think would be successful in doing the growth that you envision for our community? And Councilman Baker.
Growth, I think, is something that's going to happen no matter who's up here. The key is you do want to manage it. You want it to come on your terms, not as a response. I think we are practicing our TIF policies are very much a fiduciary responsibility. We don't want to put too much stress on the schools. We don't TIF residential anymore, and there's a lot of ways that you can control the growth and make it manageable for the people. You don't want to put anybody at a disadvantage. I don't know how in depth you want me to get on this.
You've got a 37
Okay.
seconds.
The streets, no one wants, like Indianola, where 65, 69 goes through and it takes you a half an hour with all the stoplights. We are working right now with the state to try to figure out the best way to keep that from happening at Highway 28. You don't want to have a stoplight at every single intersection. That's just a small example, but that is the case regarding sewer, water, everything. no matter what.
Mayor Phillips.
Repeat the question, please.
That was a long question.
Uh-huh.
Basically, though, with the various strategies that the council of the city has to promote growth, all of those come with people who support those strategies or don't. Things like TIF, tax abatements, different rezoning, which we're going through the revision of the master plan right now. Do you support the current approach the city is taking to growth? Do you plan on continuing that direction? Or are there other approaches that you would advocate for or add change to promote growth?
So as I said before, as far as growth goes, I think we're on a good curve residentially. We need more commercial and industrial to kind of balance our tax base. TIF is one way to, tax incremental financing is a way to accomplish that. And it's a way that we can bring in business and not necessarily hurt the schools. We get that business in here, we can provide that incentive and get them here, and the school still gets the PEPAL dollars for it and debt service. So, but there's no kids associated with it. So I think it's a good deal for both. One of the things that the 2018 strategic planning session got or came out of it as a project that Councilmember Cool is champion of is called Norwalk New Urbanism. And we're looking at, we've been over to the Peninsula development over in Iowa City to see what that looks like. And we're looking at ways to bring a development like that into Norwalk. So the new urbanism, you're a little closer together, maybe smaller homes, more affordable. We're trying to figure out ways to help that along. As we have commercial and industrial businesses come to Norwalk, me personally, I would like their workers to live in Norwalk as well. So,
Time. Thank you. And yeah.
Okay, so I'm not super well versed on the current approach, but I have gone to a couple of council meetings and watched a few, and I don't see any huge issues with the way they operate. The council members seem to ask all the right questions and do a solid job. So like I only know about like TIF and tax abatements, honestly, from the perspective of a business owner with my brothers back in Louisiana and trying to find these opportunities for our LLC to grow there. And trying to work with a township or whatever it may be to get that sort of thing done, for as easy as it was for us to figure out some of the things we needed to figure out, I would assume that would probably be the case here. It doesn't seem like you have to jump through a ton of hoops. But I've also spoken to other people who have wanted to do business here, who want to work from a unique perspective of, like, I have a friend who owns a few businesses, a couple of bars, and she was mentioning maybe wanting to do something here for like kids, not something overarching for the entire community where I would look at it and say, well, it benefits me in a certain way. But this would just be something to keep them off of the Ring cameras at night.
All right. And I think yes. Your turn. Sorry, I was trying to remember who started.
It's all good. I generally do not support tax abatement. I have spoken against it and tried to bring the rest of our council around to my way of thinking to eliminate tax abatement for residential. And again, I am the single minority on that issue. I do support TIF financing for our business, for our commercial and industrial. I think it's an important tool, and I think that we have used it very effectively and very carefully. So I do support us continuing in that vein. I am one of the people that has been very dissatisfied with Hy-Vee and their efforts, primarily because they own a substantial piece of land on Highway 28, and for the last 6 years have done nothing, even though they promised they were going to do something. Almost every year they promise they're going to do something, and they haven't. I want Highway 28 in particular to develop and to grow and to get commercial. I think our economic development department has done amazing things to make that happen and continue, and I support those efforts. I support the commercial, I support the industrial. We were fortunate enough several years ago, you'll have to wait till the next question to
That's
find out the answer.
Which I
Well,
wonder if it's about growth.
I was gonna say, no worries, because I think it'll just keep on going. You can pick up where you left off. All right, we'll go to Mayor Phillips here. So this is going to be very loaded, and then I will ask the question at the end. As we grow, it seems everyone is always talking about the kinds of businesses and community amenities or community improvements that they'd like to see in Norwalk. Certain types of businesses or office complexes, bike trails, new pool, new parks, fun projects like you've mentioned that include sewers, new roads, water towers. So the actual question is, what types of businesses, public amenities, or infrastructure improvements would you like to see in Norwalk? And how would you go about attracting those businesses or funding those projects?
What types of businesses would I like to see? I'd like to see some more restaurants here in town, particularly sit-down, nice restaurants. Some other shops, maybe a big box store, I don't know, to be able to shop at. Those, again, to get some of those in, you have to have the residential growth. You got to have rooftops. So that was, like you said, it was a loaded question. Okay, one of the projects that I am championing is a sports complex, and part of Norwalk Central is going to be a public-private partnership. There will be the public portion of it will be a gym type space with 4 courts in it that the city can use. The school is crunched for space, and the school district has been great working with the city as far as our park and rec programming, being able to use their indoor spaces. We understand that, that's a burden to the school district, and we want to start stepping up and providing our own space. Another part of that is going to be the Norwalk Central project is going to be an area where there'll be 4 bays that are privately owned that will be configurable based on, if a ballet shop wants to come in or dance shop wants to come in, if the CrossFit place wants to develop that type of place. Okay.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'm good. I
Okay.
wrote it down here. So I tend to skew personal first and then what I've heard from others. So the business I was speaking about from my friend that I had spoken to, it was in the vein of not a Chuck E. Cheese, but more of a Dave and Buster, just something that would attract teenagers away from mischief in the streets. I personally am good friends with Sid Juriker, who owns Teehee's Comedy Club in Des Moines, and he outsources these shows all of the time. And there seems to be no entertainment venue here where he felt he could go and do a one-off show or a series of shows or things like that. I was speaking to some guy. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. If you're here, sorry. And he was telling me that, restaurants and things like that would be great in town, but what he would like to see was something that was, the way he described it, was just a little more homey. So I was thinking Applebee's, and he was like, no, like somewhere where a local family could go in and feed the community. And that sort of stuff is cool and all, but I still personally think like aiming for those companies that we can look to and
Thank you.
So when I first started on council, there was a big push for a new water park kind of facility. And in theory, that sounds marvelous. It is consistently a money-losing proposition and not something that the community wants taxes to be raised for. That's kind of the problem and the balance with getting businesses here and what kind of businesses we have. I agree that having facilities that would help entertain and occupy and be constructive for our young adult population is imperative. I look forward to something like that coming with the Norwalk Central. I also, though, think that our biggest bang for the buck, if you will, is industrial. And if we can secure another state certified site, that's what I was going to say before. We were lucky enough years ago to get a state certified site, which is where Michael Foods and Windsor Windows is. If we can access land to have another certified site, that would be a fantastic opportunity for our community to bring in more industrial. Because as I said, I think that's the biggest bang for the buck.
Yeah, that is a continuation. Certified site is like, if you can get that done, it's like winning the lottery. You have businesses calling you to get here. And that's where I was going to go, is the industrial. It seems like there's more possibilities of that versus retail, restaurants and all that. They're really struggling right now. The industrial is more viable right now and would be good for us. It also brings more people, more taxation due to the machinery in the industrial site. What I would like selfishly, and I look forward to, I think someday we're going to have, is like an entertainment venue, like a bowl that people will have concerts, a place that would have Jazz in July, for example, that we could have on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, once a month, anything like that. I think something like that would just be incredible. It doesn't provide much taxes or much revenue in taxes, but man cannot live on taxes alone.
Quality of life.
Quality of life is right.
All right, thank you. Mayor Phillips alluded to this earlier, but our city and schools have had a long partnership in our community. And the question is pretty simple. Are you in favor of continuing the shared agreements that are currently in place between Norwalk, the city of Norwalk, and Norwalk Community School District? And if so, are there things you'd like to see changed, expanded, extended, whatever? And we'll start with Mr. Powell.
Yes, I'm in favor of it. The schools here are great. I don't have any children, so I don't I don't want it to come off like I don't care about the school system, because I absolutely do. I don't want to be around a bunch of dumb kids, but I also know that I do want to have children one day, and if I'm raising them here, I need them to not, again, be dumb. I want the schools here to have access to whatever they need to be great. So I have friends who have children who have had issues in the school system here, and the people they seem to have worked with and had great results from seem to be doing great work from the little bit of research I was able to do. But I don't want to handicap or hurt the city from helping the schools at all. I would just hope to find ways that were either more efficient or more helpful than already, and go there.
Absolutely. I think that we have had a wonderful working relationship, and in some cases partnership with the school district. We have been nationally recognized for our cooperation and our dual purpose use of the development of the bus barn and the public works facility. We share to some capacity an IT person. I think we have a lot of future opportunity. There's a, I don't know how often, but there's a regular meeting between the city and the school to discuss how what you're doing, school, is affecting the city, what the city's doing is affecting the school, how we can work together, how we can take advantage of a partnership, how we can complement each other. I think it is maybe a little bit unique, and it's something that I am very happy for and proud to participate in.
I think right now, while the schools are growing, and they are growing, and the city is growing, drink everybody, each of those. It's a relevant range issue. As you expand your businesses and you expand the city, everyone has a problem. They can't get to the next level. By being partnerships, we could hire a higher quality IT person. We could put together a nicer public facility for the buses and the equipment. Neither of us could afford nice facilities like that alone, but together as a partnership, you can get over that relevant range, that area that you have to work, and you don't have enough volume of business to add another person. And what we've done is we've kind of bridged that by being a partnership.
Yeah, I was supportive of the school city partnership when I was a school board member, and I'm very supportive of it now from the city side. As Jackie said, you know, we have the bus barn and our public works facility. We share an IT person. We share cleaning resources for custodial resources. Our park and rec programs extensively use the school facilities currently. Hopefully our facility that we're building, maybe the schools can come and use our facility every once in a while. We need to work on that as far as partnership goes. One area that we talked about and it didn't work out was possibly sharing an HR person. But we are continually looking for ways to partner, because we all have pretty much the same taxpayers, and we want to save our taxpayers' dollars as much as we possibly can. And if we can do it in one way and only have to charge our taxpayers once, that's a win for both organizations and for our taxpayers. And as Jackie said, we also have a quarterly meeting. We're talking about these types of things all the time, and the school district, they'll let us know what they're up to. We'll let them know what we're up to, and you know, we have that conversation.
All right, the next question is going to start with Ms. Livingston. A lot of recent residential development in Norwalk is higher end, single family housing. Some have raised issues regarding our lack of affordable housing and how this need might impact the ability to attract a workforce for our growing economy. And this includes affordable single family housing, as well as affordable high density apartments and townhomes, and also affordable living for seniors on fixed incomes. What housing needs do you see in Norwalk, and what approach would you advocate for to ensure we have a diverse stock of housing options for a diverse population?
I see a need for all of those that you mentioned in that question. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, we have made considerable progress to addressing the need for senior housing and for fixed income senior housing. We're getting ready, I believe, in the next couple months maybe, to open Alice's Place, a new senior housing fixed income facility off of Highway 28. We have several others that have just opened and a couple more that are in the works. So I think we're well addressing that population. It is a constant discussion with developers about being able to build housing at a certain price point. I am frankly always disappointed with the price points that come out of the housing developments. Developers ask for concessions for us to lessen the setbacks, to decrease garage widths, whatever. And even when we concede, we don't get the right price point of housing, even though that's what's been promised. I don't frankly know how to fix that. And right now, it is incredibly difficult because the cost of all things necessary to
That's
build
time.
have gone up.
This is an ongoing issue. I know our industry, Michael Foods and Windsor Windows, asked for less expensive housing. We have done several things as far as making lot sizes smaller, as she was mentioning. We've tried to make less restrictions on the builders to get the prices down. And it is frustrating because the prices remain high, but at the cost of lumber and costs of everything right now, the commodities going up, that would have meant the prices were even going higher. I think it is a struggle. No one is buying a house right now on minimum wage. I don't think that was ever the case, though. I think everyone needed a roommate, at least when I was young, we did. It is a struggle, and I think we are open to suggestions and working with developers. I don't remember with the question if you wanted more specifics or continue working with them. What?
Just the approach that you would advocate for.
Yeah, I think keeping open communication, and our staff comes up with ideas and different things. Sometimes the developers suggest a slab concrete instead of a basement. Well, in Iowa, that might be, a little tougher. You need to take everything with a grain of salt. Listen.
As mentioned, we talk about this a lot. And as I stated earlier, those people who are coming to work here in our industrial commercial buildings, I would like to see those folks live here in Norwalk. I think we'll all be stronger that way. Jackie mentioned Alice's Place. That's going to provide several, I think 50 some rooms that or apartments that are going to be age and income restricted. Got to be over 55 and have a certain income to be able to live in those. So I think we've made great grounds, as Jackie said, as far as the senior population goes, with Eden Crest and Holland Point being senior living, and like with Alice's Place. The big one that we're looking at now is what I mentioned prior as well, is that's Norwalk New Urbanism. The new urbanism is meant to provide an area where more affordable housing can be built, and we're working on that, and we'll continue to work on that and try to find a place for that to land, and see what we can do to support that as far as the city goes.
I think that just continuing to stay on the developers is a solid approach to it. Not even just staying on them, but keeping it at the forefront of the discussions the city will have. I live in an apartment here, and my fiance and I have wanted to look into houses. And realistically speaking, as my friends transition into like houses and I see them buying houses more, they are like foaming at the mouth, like, hey, you got to come to Des Moines. Prices here are amazing. Get out here. You can get a house at an amazing price. But the apartment I'm in is great. And the price there is wonderful. The thing is, as I have started looking at houses, the prices here are a bit higher, and it's not necessarily enough to keep me from wanting to live here still, but it's enough that it's noticeable. So I think just with as long as the leadership recognizes that situationally speaking, that sort of thing exists, I think things will be fine. But because there has to come a point where adjustments are made and things become more affordable, you'd hope. But living in it, if I were cheap, I'd just go, no, I'm going to Des Moines, I'm getting out of here, whatever. But if I wanted to invest in the
All right. Well, this is question 7 of 10, just so everybody knows how much time we have left. As the chamber, if you look at our membership roles, you'll see that many of our members, most of our members, are smaller local businesses, like what you'll see if you step out of the church and walk around downtown Norwalk. And those businesses help create that small town feel that we all say we appreciate in Norwalk. How would you work to strike that balance between growth? We've mentioned a lot of bigger names and big industries and chains and all of that. But the balance between that growth while still supporting our small businesses and preserving that smaller community feel for Norwalk. And Councilman Baker.
That is a constant challenge we have, and I think we're meeting that through the pathways, the bike trails. We're trying to make sure that every neighborhood, community within the community is connected so they can walk, ride bikes. As the mayor was talking about this new urbanism, there's a lot of new front porch emphasis on a lot of the new homes, where the front porch and to try to create the neighborhood feel from a long time ago. I'm not explaining this very well. It is truly the front porch concept. They're trying to bring that back. In the 30s and 40s, you saw a lot of homes with the front porches. I think with the bike trails, we're trying to make everything more accessible, more walkable, having more businesses in town where you can actually get groceries here without driving to Des Moines. Do a lot of your errands and things like that here. I think that is the true feel of a downtown or small town instead of being a bedroom community.
Our economic development director came up with an idea to provide grants for current businesses to work on their facade, work on the insides, to bring them up. That's one way that we're supporting our local small businesses, and it's been tangible. There's been a lot of just around this area, and that I think the outsides of the businesses are looking much better. That's more attractive to people driving by, and it'll bring people in. So we're trying to bring people into those small businesses. Another one would be, we recently enacted policy regarding demolishing old dilapidated buildings and providing grants for that, so that a smaller business can come onto a smaller lot, tear down what's there, and build up a new business that's there that looks nicer and people, again, more attractive for people to come in. So there's a lot of ways that we're trying to be creative in helping small businesses. Another way, as Councilman Baker said, we're trying to be make the community more connected. How do I get to a place? Can I get there on a bike? Can I walk? I can drive. So yeah.
Could you repeat this one more time? I want to make sure.
Yeah, so as the chamber, most of our members are those smaller local businesses that we all agree help create the small town feel we appreciate in Norwalk. So how would you work to strike the balance between growth while still supporting the small businesses and that smaller community feel for Norwalk?
By holding on to my petty nature and wanting to make Hy-Vee jealous, I That's the first thing I picked up when I moved here, was that we don't like Hy-Vee until they get it together. So working to get someone here to make them feel like they missed out on an opportunity. But the thing with that is, no matter, like, the growth is happening, so it doesn't matter what I think or feel. It's just a matter of, like, I heard these guys mention, like, controlling the growth to the best of your abilities. Like, that's a great thing to do, but when I look at it, I'm thinking, if it's going to grow, the people are going to have to work there. They have to send their kids to school. They have to, like, potentially live here. They have to ingratiate themselves to the community to some degree if they're going to participate in whatever is brought here, be it the chain restaurant or a hotel or whatever it might be. If you're working there and wanting to live near it, you have to become a part of the community to some extent. So just allowing that to, I mean, again, you don't want to not plan for it, but you also have to understand that, like, potentially a good plan is just being ready to react to it, not over complicating the approach going in.
While we have brought on a couple significant industrial businesses, we have also brought on a number of small community type businesses. We have several small town feel businesses that have opened up here in Norwalk. And I think if we continue to do those types of things, that's the kind of growth that I would like to see. We have a really unique school structure in Norwalk with 6 different schools, but all the kids going in the same school system. I was just talking about that today with the Minister of Education from Kosovo, about how unique our school system is, that we don't have neighborhood schools. We have K through 12 in, I forget, 5 or 6 different buildings. I think that lends itself to a small town feel. We have neighborhoods that are being developed, and we have a requirement for parkland in each of the neighborhoods that are being developed. And then we have the connectivity between bike trails and walking trails, and pass through low population streets. All that lends itself to maintaining the small town feel.
All right, this is going to be a 2-part question, and we'll start with Mayor Phillips. As Norwalk grows, we continue to have the need to expand our police and fire EMS personnel. Do you believe that the city's current approach to public safety is appropriate and adequate? And the second part, given the nationwide difficulty in hiring new officers, when new officers are needed, how would you suggest we recruit quality officers?
You start that all off by hiring a great police chief and a great fire chief and let them make policy. I think we're doing a great job with our police department. We are down one right now, I believe. And so the hiring process has begun. I think there are opportunities out there to hire officers away from other communities, because we have a great work environment, and that's created by our chiefs. So I don't know if I've answered one part or two or none.
Focus on whatever parts you want.
Okay. As far as hiring goes, you give your chiefs, you empower them to do the process, let them pick and let them do the hiring.
Like, I think that's a great approach. If you can't trust your chiefs, then what use are they? And so, like, I don't personally, like, I know I just saw something on the news. Our fire chief was just hired full time, so that's great. Like she seemed to be doing a great job. But I think it sort of goes hand in hand with what we spoke about before. One of the things with like when I talked about these people coming into the community and becoming a part of the community, if you're working here and living here, you're going to need a small business at some point to help you with something. Well, that same small business starts to grow your love of the community, and that then creates people who take a certain pride in the community, and you hope that that facilitates people from within the community who want to serve in the ways of a police officer or a fireman or firewoman. And so I think just finding qualified people, and to be honest, with the way the country is operating right now, any police officer who wants to work for a black mayor, they're probably down for the job. So I'm taking every application, and I don't know, like, come do it. Like, I just would put it out there that plainly. Come be a police officer here. Come be a fireman here. Come be an EMT here, like whatever it needs to be, because those people are important, and making them feel important seems to.
Thanks.
Do you want me to repeat any of it?
No, I think I'm okay. So somewhere about 8 years ago, we undertook a national search to locate our current police chief. And 8 weeks ago, we took a national search to locate our current fire chief. In both cases, we had a number of applicants from across the country. I think that says a lot about our city and our departments and what we have to offer. It's difficult to maintain competitive salary against some of the larger communities, but I think we have made a concerted effort to try to have competitive salary. That's important because you want quality people to come here, and you want quality people who want to stay here. I think that we have, over the last 4 years, maybe longer, worked very hard as a city to increase the representations on our fire and our police department to go along with the growth of our community. I think both of our departments do a lot of community work, and I think that that is imperative, and that suits our community very well. And I look forward to that kind of work continuing.
Yes, I think part of the job is the relationship that the EMTs and the police department that have with the community. This is a place that they want to come to work. We had a lot, as they said, when we did the search for the national search for the fire chief. We had very well qualified applicants. It was impressive. And for the police department too, I think we've had good numbers, and that is due to Norwalk is very friendly. The police department personnel feel like they are backed by the community. That's not always the case in other communities. That's a big deal. Des Moines, I know, has had a very difficult time with resignations and stuff. A lot of large cities have, and the smaller towns are the beneficiary of those.
All right. 2 more questions. So this was mentioned in different ways earlier, but with growth that we're experiencing, residential growth in particular, we're presented with opportunities for increased racial, ethnic, as well as economic diversity in Norwalk. We already are seeing that our church here has a growing ELL program that is predominantly refugees, as well as some immigrants learning to live English, who've lived in our community for some of them close to 10 years. If elected, what would you do to help increase that diversity, as well as support the diversity we have and ensure that all residents of Norwalk have a safe community where everyone can thrive. And we'll start with Mr. Powell.
I, like, I would make it a point to not make anyone coming here feel like they were being tokenized or treated as a symbol of like just diversity. Like I don't know very many people in the community, but the people I do know are like I live in a complex with quite a few senior citizens, and they're like my friends now. And it's a weird dynamic that like to them I'm just their neighbor that's the big black comedian. And I think that's how you implement the right type of growth, is that you don't treat it like Hansel and Gretel where you're just leaving breadcrumbs for the minorities to follow and come to town. You have to treat it like we just want to create this really cool place and everyone is welcome, and the people who want to be a part of it will naturally show up. The people who don't won't. And I like like when Brian was talking about the police officers who quit in other places and came here, I was like, oh God, I didn't know that. Like that's terrifying to me a little bit, because like were they not good enough there and then came here? Because I need to know that. And so I think just being aware of like that a place like this exists does a lot. I've had friends, like I said, who bought houses in Des Moines, but really looked into potentially coming to Norwalk because I speak so glowingly of the place. But it's never been a thing of like, oh, let's increase.
I think that's a very difficult question to answer. Norwalk is a very white community. And for most of my time here, I think there's been a lack of awareness, a lack of understanding perhaps of the discrimination that is intentionally or otherwise expressed, and how our minority community feels about that and feels that they can or cannot express it. Think about 6 years ago, tragically, we lost a young black man to suicide. A couple years ago, our community, there were members of our community that were very vocal about the injustices in our community in the wake of George Floyd. I don't know that I know how to change that. I think education, discussion, openness, and a willingness to communicate about it is the first step.
Thanks. Ms. Baker.
I think just the openness and friendliness. As she said, it's exceedingly difficult. I don't picture a ratio system or some sort of anti-biasness that becomes biased. I don't think in reality any of that works. I think it needs to be a friendly and welcoming town, and we will get a mix of the people that want to be here. And they're all humans, period.
Okay. Mayor Phillips?
Like I said in the paper, people want to live where they feel safe, where they can raise their family, where they can have their kids get good education, where they can shop locally. And I think as an organization, as a city organization, we put in policy and procedures and ordinances in place for our organization to follow that allows that to happen. The difficult part is we can't look at somebody in a house and say, you have to be a certain way. They have to figure that out on their own. And so that can't be legislated. We can But I do think we can continue to be welcoming. We can continue to provide a safe place to live. We can continue to support our school district, which is fantastic. And as we do those things, and as minorities, different races, different ethnicities, if I can say that, different income classes come to town, I think they'll feel that way. I think they'll be motivated to get to know their neighbors. Our Norwalk Hometown Pride every summer has Front Porch Norwalk. They can be motivated to come to those types of events as well and feel welcomed.
All right, I have the pleasure of stating our last question of the night. It's going to go to Ms. Livingston first. Hopefully, this is an easy one, and that is, what is the one thing that you love about Norwalk?
Oh, it's not an easy one.
It can be the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, because there's, that's right, the Chamber of Commerce. We moved here 20 years ago, as I said, shortly after my day job is I'm an employee of Polk County. And in my job, I had to live in Polk County. Until about 21 years ago, they said, okay, you don't have to live in Polk County. And we moved here pretty much as soon as we could. We moved here for the schools. Everybody said what a great school system it was. At the time, nobody really knew where Norwalk was. We had friends who lived here, so we knew where it was, but it was a long way from Des Moines. Now, it's not nearly that far. It's a wonderful community. I love the people here. I love that it's a hidden gem. I love that we can do things like Front Porch Norwalk, and really the whole community can get involved. I love that we have different neighborhoods, but that everybody can come together at social events, at football games, at our community churches. I love the pancake breakfast at the fire station. I just love the community.
Friendliness. Everybody is friendly. It used to amaze my two boys. No matter what they did, I would hear about it through someone. Either I was at the store, I was at a pancake breakfast or whatever. Why was your car at so-and-so? What? How do you know that? You would go to the football game, and it was like old home week. Everyone that you hadn't seen in a week. You go to a marching band contest. The businesses, everybody is so friendly. And after 35 years, you do feel like you know everybody. We've grown so much now, it makes it a challenge. There's a lot of people, you go to church that, wow, I don't know half of these people. That's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling that we're growing. I would say that, and the fact that we are kind of a secret. The register doesn't even know we exist most of the time. And I appreciate that. Being facetious, of course. We need them, I guess, somehow. But anyway, it's a very nice, friendly town.
Mayor Phillips.
So this is going to be cliche. I like all of the little communities that make up a part of the big community, which makes us one community. That's what we are, is we are one community of many, many different parts. And I think that's what makes us special. That's all I got.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Louisiana. Like, I think we may have had maybe 1,000 people there. So it feels similar to what I grew up in. But everything everyone has mentioned has been great. I love all of that. I love that it works for so many different perspectives. Everything they mentioned is, I kid you not, I think it's wonderful. But I also love that I'm able to live here and my only friends are, like I said, my old neighbors. I love that I can just live my life and not be bothered like I was when I was living in Des Moines, where it felt like friends wanted to stop by all the time and always be around me. It feels like I'm there but not there. But I think if I had to whittle it down to one thing, this is not the comedian in me joking. This is 100% true. I like that when I have to go out and do something somewhere else, when I'm coming back home, there's a come and go in a Casey's on the north side and the south side. So if I need to stop and use the restroom or just get my head together and get like a drink or whatever, I can just pull in, go in, get what I need, and kind of get resettled before I go back home. I think that's cool.
All right, our real last question for the win, Braves or Astros? No. Who? 5-0 Braves right now. Top of the
Braves.
list. All right, good answer. All right, closing statements, and I think everybody has gotten to start equal amounts, and we'll end it with Councilman Baker, 1 minute. So less time than you've been given lately.
Excellent.
So
I want to thank you all for electing me 4 years ago. I think the city's growth has been very productive, and I know I have grown. I was a businessman for all of my life, but this is truly a different education. I've had to learn about sewers and water and infrastructure and hydrology tests. It is very valuable. I am so lucky to be a part of this staff that we have. And I just want to thank you all for that.
Well, thanks again to the Chamber for holding this event tonight, and thank you all for coming and participating. There were some great questions tonight that were at times a little difficult to get through. Over the past 8 years, I believe Norwalk has been put on a course that's going to allow us to continue to grow at a good pace. It's going to bring in more commercial companies like Windsor Windows, Michael Foods, and Rowlett Cut Stone. Bring in some much desired retail and dining like Northern Lights Pizza, Bellflower Florist and Gifts, and Johnston Orthodontics, just to name a few. I would like to continue to guide Norwalk on that course, and as mayor, promise to continue to plan our growth, be fiscally responsible, to enhance public safety, and to provide recreational opportunities for our residents. Norwalk's a great place to live and raise a family. By providing more opportunity to work, shop, and play within the Norwalk community, we're going to be even better. So thanks again, and have a good evening.
Thanks all of you for this opportunity. For a silly comedian to take a joke way too far and not back out of it and take it seriously enough that I came up here tonight. So I appreciate all of you listening. I appreciate the Chamber and this opportunity. I also want to make it clear that, again, my pride in Norwalk is I just like being here. This place is dope. So even if Tom wins, I still have it out for Hy-Vee. You guys are not safe. As long as I'm in these streets, Hy-Vee, I'm looking for you. And I look forward to seeing what other great things happen here. So yeah, do what makes you happy. Vote for me, vote for Tom, write in your dad. I don't care. Just do what makes you happy.
I too want to thank everybody for coming out, whoever's at home watching. 8 years ago, I ran for city council because I was dissatisfied with the direction that the then city council and our city was headed. I am proud of the things that we have done in our city since then. I am proud of the growth. I am proud of the direction. I am proud of the people. I am proud to be a part of this. And I look forward to continuing, if I am reelected, to enhance our community and to develop our footprint in the state and in the country.
Want to thank all 4 of you guys for coming out again tonight, and also the citizens of Norwalk behind me. We could not be the great community that we are without everybody here in this room. Oh, and thank you, Travis, and the Christian Church for allowing us to have this possible here tonight.
And thank you for co-moderating with me and being in the room when I said we needed a co-moderator and looked right at you. I appreciate that. For all you who are here or watching online, we do hope you learned a little about our candidates, as well as maybe a little bit about Norwalk and some new words to Google like TIF and abatement and all those wonderful things that we talk too much about in these things. Please remember that voting for all Norwalk City as well as school board candidates happens 1 week from today, November 2nd. As we mentioned earlier, there will be a school board candidate forum that the school is hosting this Thursday, October 28th, 7 p.m. at Orchard Hills Elementary. So if you just want to hear more great questions, go to that. You are invited to stick around until Marty or I turn the lights off today and talk with the candidates. And the video, like I said, live stream, it's on the Facebook page, so you can send it to all your supporters, family, fan list, whatever, and share the word, as well as you can share with your friends and neighbors who weren't able to be here. I think that's it. Anything else? Thank you to our timekeeper, Lucinda Sperry, and our executive director, as well as our staff in the back. And I think we're done.
Thanks.
Yes.